Thanks for joining us once again. This is Greg. Today we focus on a number of different options as we head into earnings on the 29th for Tesla. Just a reminder, please take time to like and subscribe. We also could use some help on Patreon if you'd like some better ideas on investing and trading. So I usually try to do a show before and after earnings come out. Today, as you know, we're 2 days away from the 29th when earnings will be announced. But more important than the earnings actually is the story that goes with the stock. The structure of today's show, so you know what will happen, is we'll start off with a general discussion of what's going to happen with the earnings and what our expectations are. And then we're going to be covering different techniques and strategies relative to options on how to hedge yourself heading into those earnings. So as you know, anytime you have earnings, there are two facets to it. The first facet is, do you have the numbers? So we'll actually get some hard numbers that'll include not just the number of vehicles sold, but how many megapacks are done, how much has been paid to Tesla by those companies that are not selling enough vehicles. The second component, as you know, will be everything beyond that. What is the forecast for the future? Are there any new developments in terms of vehicles, etc., that will drive the stock price? So I believe that this is as usual, one of the most important earnings announcement that we'll see maybe ever from Tesla. The main reason, as you know, is basically the stock price doubled, and it doubled in line with the affiliation of the Trump-Musk connection. So the huge question that's out there right now is, can the stock price of Tesla be justified based on forward-looking developments for the company? Now, the answer is maybe. If you look at the next 3 to 6 months, probably not. But as we go into the next year and a half, there's some excellent news. In particular, the two biggest catalysts, I believe, will be Optimus and the Semi. In the case of Optimus, Tesla is in that 1,000 to 2,000 range of Optimus that are occupying and operating on the factory floors. But then as that number rises, we'll start having other entities start buying those robots, even down to individuals going forward. The second catalyst, as you know, is that the Tesla Semi factory will actually be finished. But as I've shared numerous times, I think it's good that they're going to finish the factory. But what's strange is that given that there are not enough, there aren't, the cell count of the Cybertruck has actually been fairly low. Tesla could easily build and sell Cybertrucks and then just build extras based on how many are being sold, and then simply switch that factory to production of Semi anytime they choose to, and that can be done at any of the Tesla factories around the world. The key component of the paint shop is that each facility beyond the paint shop, can you bend metal? And the answer is they can do that. And for the other parts that you would order for the truck, those are easily ordered as well. And things like battery packs are shared with the current vehicles. So I think it's great that everybody's focused on this new factory. But as you can see, there are a lot of Tesla Semis being produced in the smaller factory in Reno. And I believe that if sales keep lagging with the Cybertruck, you'll see shutdowns for a month at a time to allow them to produce Semi instead of doing so with the Cybertruck. So the question is that I'd like to get to now is, what's going to happen after that announcement comes out? Well, the answer is, frankly, nobody knows. Right now, Tesla's entered the zone of what's called a cult stock. So there'll be reasons why the stock is up and staying up that don't fit how other entities might operate. Example, anytime you have a company that is selling more products, therefore having more revenue, and the earnings are rising, that's when you see the stock price rising. If in fact the company is selling fewer products and therefore lower revenue and therefore lower profits, that's when you get a falling stock price. In the case of Tesla, I believe that they're showing higher profit margins, so you can see earnings rising even if we see a 3 to 5% down in terms of the amount of revenue that we had for the quarter. So because of the declining revenue number for Tesla, it's my expectation that unless there's a huge, excellent story that comes from Elon relative to the growth of the company, I think we either stay neutral where the stock price currently is, or we could see a 10 to 20% drop in the stock price. And it's not because the company isn't doing well, it's just that the company is ahead of where it should be stock price-wise, given what the revenue and profit is. So I heard you, there are many of you that I've exchanged emails with that are saying I'm negative on Tesla. Not at all the case. Company's doing well. Their competitors, for example, Ford just announced that they're not going to be producing the Lightning anymore. There's a lot of good news relative to Tesla and its competitive position within the EV space. So I think we will definitely see a rising stock price over time, especially after Optimus hits and the Semi hits. So the next question is, what should you do about this? Now, there are 4 general categories of recommendations here. The first encouragement that I would have is that if you have in your retirement account Tesla shares, I think this is a really good time to sell it. And if it starts doing really well, just buy back in and you're fine. You'll be making good money and you'll only be out of the marketplace for 24 hours. So if you have the direction that you'd like, i.e. up, then you can just buy back in and you're fine. The other nice thing is if the stock price drops, then you save all the money that you would have lost. Option number 2. Option number 2 would be you don't have the benefit of having your shares in a retirement account, and therefore there's a taxable incident. So if you sell your shares, you got to pay tax on that, and so there's an incentive to therefore not do that. One option then, I think that's a good one, would be to pick up some puts. If you own the shares, by buying puts, you basically insure your downside and you get paid if the stock price falls. So I actually think that's actually a good strategy if you own a decent amount of shares. Option number 3. The third option that I wanted to suggest is, well, I guess you could do a straddle. There are a number of techniques that people use within the investment community, and options have unlimited possibilities of how this might work. I typically cover it the simplest. Please drop me a note if you'd like us to start doing an options focused class to help you optimize what you're doing in that space. That is typically not the case of what we try to do on the show, but we're happy to start doing more of it, particularly if there's interest. So the next sort of option I think that's on the table is, I really think that in theory, you could sell your shares and buy some puts. And if the stock price goes down, then you make money on the puts. And then you buy back shares. And now you're even in a better position. So why do I think it's going to drop? I think it's going to be dropping only because revenue is down. And we can see that revenue is down because we missed our production and sales numbers by about 10,000 units. So in general, I think the company is on generally solid ground. I think they got some nice new products coming out. They also have competitors that are not delivering solutions that customers really want to see. So as a result, I just think Tesla has a bright circumstance, particularly when you add Optimus and what's happening with the megapacks there. So one other thing that I think is kind of interesting that's going on is that there's something called a data center. So what's happening right now is there are requirements by a lot of utilities that if you're going to do a data center, you need to, in essence, sign up for power multiple years ahead of time so that the utility in question can actually build a new power plant with your electricity needs going forward in mind, baked in. And you're basically committing to long-term use of that electricity. I do believe that in the case of the semi, we're probably going to have to see something like this happening as well, because the trucks do draw a lot of electricity, and the companies, the bigger companies involved, a la, UPS and Walmart, et cetera, have the resources and the long-term commitment to be in use of these electric trucks over that time. And that large power draw from the utilities will be addressed by long-term contracts. So a lot of different ways Tesla can make money going forward, and that's why I think the Tesla story going forward is great. It's just that in the short term, because of the monster price move up, I do believe we're in a serious risk zone for a correction someplace in that 10 to 15% range on Tesla. So as you noticed, finally there's this other issue of what's going on with the drop in AI stocks in general, and Elon is involved with that, and there's a lot of NVIDIA chips that have been purchased by Tesla on behalf of Tesla by Elon. So is Tesla's AI game being impacted by this DeepSeek product that's coming out of China? The answer is not really, and therefore it's a surprise that the stock price is down, but it seems like the whole NASDAQ in sympathy is down based on this new news and the negative impact on things. At any rate, and by the way, I do think DeepSeek is an amazing change, and I think it'll be impactful, and I think it'll cut 20% off the stock prices of a number of companies like an AMD, NVIDIA, and others, because it sort of allows a lot more companies to provide the chips and machines needed to actually do the AI revolution. So we want to thank you for taking time to join us here. Please get a hedge in so that you don't lose any money or too much money as we go into earnings, and just encouraging you to also be cautious right now, because the DeepSeek product is a good one, and it works, and it's going to have an impact. Next, we move on to our health tips. The main health tip I wanted to remind you of today is we had a health professional make a recommendation to us, which is that you have a light salad prior to lovemaking. Why? Because instead of the blood flow going to your stomach, it'll flow to other extremities if you're not sitting with a large meal at that point. Highly recommended, recommended, and I think that it'll prompt you to have a lot more enjoyable experience. Once again, I want to thank you for joining us. Please take time to like and subscribe. We could use some help on Patreon if you would. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Just au revoir, lehitraot, hoda hafez. Please drop us a note on Facebook or even on here, and we'd be happy to put you into a sort of an options trading class to help you with better process in terms of how to manage that aspect of what you're doing. Thanks again. Have a great day, and bye for now. Tschüss, au revoir, lehitraot. Arrivederci. In Jamaica, we say enough respect, walk good, man.